I want to now explain something, just a little bit of the mechanics of this. There was a coin toss back in the green room earlier this evening to determine who would go first. Now, Rusty won the toss, but he deferred to Senator Thomas. So here's the format. Buzz will start and give a 5-minute introduction to Senator Barack Obama. Then Rusty will follow up and give a 5-minute introduction to Senator John McCain. After that, there will be specific questions about the economy and the war, and I intend to keep the formal part of this debate somewhat restricted to about a half hour or so that you and the audience will have an opportunity to put questions, for up to maybe an hour, depending on how the evening's going, up to an hour, to these two gentlemen. Now, I think now we will start with the specifics. Defer to you, so if you would like to introduce Barack Obama, please start. Thank you.
Please, thank you so very much. I appreciate that very gracious introduction. I'm sorry I don't have any pets, so I don't have cute stories. And my grandfather was a devout Republican after that time with Gerald R. Ford. He would probably not be very happy with my decision to stand up and support the Democrat tonight. But I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you to the Hauenstein Center for what you do. And Mr. Hauenstein, thank you so much for creating this wonderful environment to continue to study presidential politics. I'm indeed honored to join with you and to preserve our democracy tonight and to promote it. 2 years ago, a U.S. senator from the state of Illinois, Barack Obama, actually called me on my cell phone and asked me said he was going to be in Detroit and asked if he could have 10 minutes of my time for a cup of coffee on a trip to Detroit. I decided, well, he gave a good speech and at our convention, and I'd like the opportunity to spend some time with him. So I joined him at the Motown Museum in Detroit for coffee, and our 10-minute conversation turned into an hour-long discussion about his hopes and his dreams and his vision on changing America. Suffice it to say that when we concluded our coffee, I walked out as the co-chair of the Obama campaign for president here in the state of Michigan. I'm incredibly excited to join with you tonight representing Senator Obama because of his vision, his goals, and his plans for our nation. There is no question that John McCain has, without a doubt, served our country honorably, but I believe very strongly that America needs a different course and a different vision than that offered by Senator McCain. Whether it's our failing stock market, the higher prices of gas and fuel, our poor standing in the world stage, and even the status and strength of the American Army, military, and the support of its veterans, I believe that this nation and the Bush administration has become directly responsible for this. And I believe that John McCain, with a 90% record of support of George Bush, is supporting that and will continue to support that going forward. Barack Obama, in my opinion, is the only fresh voice for change in this election. He is a man who understands the pain, the real pain, that citizens of Michigan and across this country are going through, and he will make the very difficult and tough decisions necessary to restore Americans' faith in their country and its government, and to support the world's opinion of our great republic. Barack Obama has been fighting for regular Americans for more than 20 years. As a community organizer, a civil rights lawyer, a legal professor and lecturer, a state senator, and now a United States senator. As an Illinois state senator, he expanded health care, creating more than $100 million worth of tax credits for Illinois residents, as well as supporting very vigorous ethics reform legislation in the Illinois State Senate. That translated to a great first term in the United States Senate, where he has been a champion of ethics legislation, a champion of health care reform, and a champion for guarding against the proliferation of nuclear weapons abroad. He has shaken up to the core the status quo of Washington politics. When elected, Barack Obama and his partner Joe Biden are prepared to hit the ground running as president and vice president. Their plans provide more health care to everyone in America. They have a sensible economic policy that will not penalize our middle class. They will work to restore our relationship on the world stage with our allies and those that are not our allies to restore the world to a much safer place. And they will support all of us, no matter our skin color, our religion, or the region from the nation that we are from. I have a world of respect for Rusty Hill, and I know that John McCain loves this country. And I believe John McCain when he said we must end the divisiveness and negativity that so proliferates American politics today. Sadly, as the campaign continues to develop, I see a much different John McCain. I see a game plan, again as I see it, that's to be as negative, as nasty, and as vitriol as possible, and to avoid talking about the real issues that Americans need talked about at all costs. I was fortunate to go to the Democratic National Convention and serve as a first-time delegate to a grand convention. During that time in Denver, Democrats talked about uniting Americans of all faiths, of all backgrounds. We talked about uniting Americans around health care and creating opportunities for new people to achieve the American dream. A week later, as I went to the Republican convention in St. Paul, I saw a different America. I saw a convention that was a negative barrage against liberals, academics, Democrats, social workers, and frankly, as I saw it, every person that thought differently than the traditional Republican value. When their convention was over, I knew that I was left thinking that I could not sit by idly and allow another term of this Bush White House. And I believe very, very strongly that would happen with John McCain.
Thank you very much, Senator Thomas. Rusty Hill, 5 minutes to introduce your candidate.
Thanks, please. Welcome, Buzz. Good to be debating with you. Thanks to the Grand Valley State. Thanks for all the students, faculty, and members of Grand Rapids who came out for us tonight. I'm here on behalf of Senator John McCain and feel strongly about his candidacy and that he would make the best president for the United States in this election. And I hope you use the next 90 minutes to convince you of that and take your questions both during the debate and afterwards. I'd like to begin by talking about his life of service. I think we're all familiar with John McCain's life, so I won't spend a lot of time. You know about his service in the military with the United States Navy as a pilot, the fact that he was shot down on a mission during the Vietnam War, landed in a lake in Hanoi, served 5.5 years as a prisoner, was offered to be released early, opted not to do that, followed the code, went in the order in which he had been captured, so that they maintained that bond of other servicemen who were also held captive in Hanoi. And of course his service both in the House, starting as a lieutenant in the Reagan Wars, and then going on as the United States Senator from the great state of Arizona up until this current time. I think when you look at John McCain's career, he's put problem solving over partisanship. He's crossed his party on things like McCain-Feingold and earmarks whenever he felt that that was what was important. He put the country first and not the party first. He defended the public interest against special interests. He's fought for honor, and he's fought for a cause greater than himself. That was the theme of the Republican convention that I was pleased to be at this past couple weeks ago in St. Paul, Minnesota. We fought for a cause that was greater than ourselves, and I think that's what John McCain is calling us to, and that's really the hallmark and the cornerstone of his campaign to be president. It's not about partisanship, it's not about electing a Republican versus a Democrat. Let's get away from pulling the party lever on that. Take a step back and leave our prejudices at the door and examine these candidates. Let's see who's bucked with the party. Let's see who's taken on the leaders. Who's contradicted his own president, not just President Bush, but McCain has gone against President Reagan. I know there are a lot of young people in the audience today, many of them from history or political science. You may not remember what went on back in the 1980s. But for some of you that are like my age or a little bit older, you might remember when President Reagan wanted to deploy Marines to Lebanon. Now, Reagan happened to be a hero of John McCain, and John McCain was a strong supporter of the Republican Party and the president. But when it came to national security and defense, nobody knows more than John McCain. He's put his life on the line for this country. And so when Reagan said we ought to send Marines to Lebanon to stabilize the situation in that country and for the Middle East, it was McCain that crossed President Reagan and said, no, you're wrong. We're not going to put Marines in harm's way. That's not the best way we can protect our country. And in fact, subsequent events proved McCain right and President Reagan wrong. That's why we need to elect John McCain. Because we need to elect someone who's not afraid to challenge power, to speak truth to power, to buck with his party when the country comes first. That's why I'm proud to support John McCain. That's why I would urge you to take a strong look and support John McCain as well. Thanks, please.
Thank you very much, Rusty.